Hello. It's Lazarus IDE. Let's proceed with our next Lazarus IDE course. We are currently on Chapter 9. Additional bar components, and we have reached point 6. Here we will look at two very interesting components which resemble tables. These are TDrawGrid and TStringGrid. TDrawGrid was created earlier. We will place one such component of the form. This is what it looks like by default, as a table with 5 rows and 5 columns. The first of them are fixed and have a darker color. The number of rows and columns is set by the properties, row count and col count, and the number of fixed rows and columns is set from the properties, fixed cols and fixed rows. The options property opens up quite a few additional possibilities. In the cells of the table, you can enter text as well, but it must be drawn just like the graphic information. Let's do this as an example, to insert a small image into one table cell. We'll make a project folder and we'll put one of the images that we used in Project 10, with the arrow. Then we go to the events page and select the onDraw cell event. We click twice in the field and here comes the relevant procedure where we will write the following code. The image must be in BMP format. We write the full path to the file, then the distance in pixels, 80 on the left and 27 on top. These are the default values in the table. Now we run the program and here is the result. If we want to fill all cells from the table, we can use loop or include the arect parameter. It's in the parentheses of our procedure, through which we can set where to start filling. With us, instead of this line, we will write it like this, and the result will be, all cells are filled in this way. That's all regarding this component for now. We continue with the more important and interesting TStringGrid component. It inherits the same properties like TDrawGrid, but it's designed for text input, and that's why there have been a few properties added to it. To add data to a TStringGrid, usually a link is made to a file. It can also be done via OpenDialog, with a method like loadCVS file. Another option is to connect TStringGrid with database. TDrawGrid can also be used here. Of course, data can also be entered manually using a specially made form, which we will practice later. Let's put one TStringGrid component of the form, as we will draw the other TDrawGrid component to the right, and we will reduce its dimensions and the width of its cells. We also put two buttons, add and clean. The code of procedures of pressing the buttons will be as follows. The purpose of this program is by pressing on the first button to fill string grid 1 with the values from the for loop, and draw grid 1 to become invisible, and after pressing the second button, string grid 1 to be cleared and draw grid 1 to become visible. After pressing the first add button, we will see the following. and after pressing the second clean button the home screen returns again. Now, let me show it in Lazarus IDE. Here it is in the form. Compile and run the program. Here is the original layout, then we press the add button and see that this is where the values from the for loop appear. Then we press the clean button and everything returns to the starting position. Here it is again. That's all for this tutorial. Best regards.